Hello and welcome to the Ham Radio Guy podcast. I'm Marvin and my call sign is W0MET. Whether you're an experienced ham or just getting started, this podcast is for you. We're bringing you the latest of topics, news, and information, and all things amateur radio, each episode right here to this show. This is episode number 26. Subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Well, in this episode, we're going to be discussing RST. And I think most of you probably know what that is, but we will get into that a little bit more. But I want to dive into a few things first. I've said many times that I'm making this move from Tennessee to Massachusetts, and it's the joy and thrills of having to complete this move. Between buying a home and selling a home and inspections and paperwork and everything else one can imagine that goes along with this, getting the house ready, you've got all the showings, you've got to exit your house, keeping the house like in a, absolutely clean showcase model type of home. I mean, it just, again, the fun behind this is just overwhelming. I'm sure many of you have probably experienced this. It's been many years since I've done this. I think it was 7 was the last time I did it, and I'm okay with it's not for 70 next time. It's a lot that goes into this, and just having to find a way to secure a home, and you're securing the financing and all the paperwork that goes with that, and getting bank statements and your pay stubs and. Again, I can probably go into a lot more stuff here, but I think you get my drift. But it's a lot. Plus, trying to work 40 hours and trying to put a podcast together. And so, family comes first, and of course, getting all this house stuff in order on both sides for selling and buying obviously comes as a priority as well. So, thank you for sticking with me as listeners. And I hope that you will gain content from this episode. And again, I try to do these as much as I can. But literally coming from my kitchen table today, it's the ham shack has such an echo now that the sound panels and everything else is cleared out of there that I've had to clear that out. And I wanted to get one outside, but the weather has not been very cooperative. It's gotten cooler. It's dark at 4:30 at night. So it's just like... not going to be able to make that one go. I was going to try and get one right after a POTA episode the other day I did, or a POTA event activation, but just time didn't allow for that either. So anyway, things are progressing. Should be in Massachusetts, we'll call it mid-December, and we'll try and get one more in before then. I've got some things in my mind that I'd like to be able to get out for a topic that's fairly relevant, and hope to get that one out maybe over this weekend and have it recorded, ready to go if possible. So definitely need to spend some time packing and getting some things organized, and a few more things off the walls, but I'll certainly try and get another episode in here before that December time frame, and then it probably will be at least 2 weeks before I get another one back in again. So thank you for being patient with me during this time of transition. And getting a new ham shack built and set back up, and I think I'm going to display some pictures, and I'll definitely be tweeting out some steps along the way as I go through the process of building the new ham shack. I've got some great things in mind. I've got some great ideas from some other friends and whatnot for getting a station set up, and I'm looking forward to that, to even having better quality audio in this new studio as well. Well, I've got the trailer. Actually, I have every single part for it now. Got the final Blue Sea panel for my AC to come in from the generator. So my brother is supposed to be in town, and we're hoping he has the bit big enough to be able to drill the hole in the side of the trailer. That's a scary thought, to be able to put in the generator plug. I think it requires like a 2 7/8 or 2 5/8 inch bit. So it's going to require quite a bit to drill through that. But it is thin sheet metal, so it should go pretty simple and pretty quick. But we will be taking care of that here around December 7th and 8th. And we'll be getting that put together. And again, we'll try and share a few photos via Twitter and follow me that. Maybe something in the newsletter I am setting up a whole new site for you to subscribe to a newsletter. So that will be coming out. I would expect that might get out before Christmas, but it might be afterwards as well. So I'm not really 100% on that one, but something I'm trying to come back into. And so the trailer is obviously going to be a big part of the movie. And so the fact that it's, getting loaded up with a bunch of equipment, all my ham radio gears, I've decided that is personally going with me and will not be shipped or stored somewhere else, and that I will take it all with me. And I think I will have the space, knowing that I've now secured a new home and knowing what that will look like and what's around me. So definitely will have to take the tower with me. I was debating of selling that, and in a little bit of a lull that I will need to definitely put up a tower to get out with some HF, and probably even use it possibly as just my TV antenna for getting normal reception. So that will be something I can certainly talk about as well in a future episode, how that comes along, and certainly probably won't get that up until next spring sometime, as we are moving in December to a northern territory. That means it's cold, probably snow, away from the beautiful Tennessee weather where it's cold for maybe a month here at a time. And so I'm going to miss that tremendously. I've really gotten adjusted to this Tennessee weather, and I like it a lot. For a southern winter, it's the perfect place to be. It can be a little cold. We might get a little snow. We've had, I think, a max of like 14 inches here once, on around Valentine's Day. Must have been February of 2020. And so that's the most I've ever seen here. When I first moved here, we had like 5 or 6 inches for 1 year. And last year, I don't think we got much more than a half inch ever. So didn't have to really deal with much there. But it's beautiful in that regards. You do get a little bit, but you don't get 4 feet of snow that I could potentially get up in the more hills and part of western Massachusetts where I'll be. So anyway, there's kind of the project. There's the update for the transition on the move. And again, hope that you continue to follow me, and I appreciate your patience and listening and waiting for another podcast to come out, and be grateful for my listeners that I have. Well, Club Gear Online is a sponsor of the program, and as always, you can reach out to find POTA swag and other ham radio gear. Check out recent items released from his desktop mats, POTA keychains, metal band plans. Club Gear Online has what you need, and he can customize coins, poker chips, QSL cards, and other great gear. Just email him direct from the website, and he's also now found on Etsy, and you can find a lot more of his other items that he's also posting on. He's got some Christmas decorations and things that he's doing, kind of for a seasonal thing, help to generate a little additional revenue there. But for some really cool gear, if you're a Kansas City Chiefs fan and you listen to this podcast. But he's got a couple, like a POTA spinner, that's kind of a weather spins in the wind. So anyway, check out clubgearonline.com for all your Christmas gifts and things for your ham radio operator. If you'd like to help support the channel and you find that this content is valuable, I would appreciate you becoming a patron, and look for me on buymeacoffee.com. There's 3 levels there you can support me at: technician, general, extra. And you can simply support the channel at just $1 a month, or get the extra class membership with more benefits. This, all go directly towards, supporting the channel, the website, and software, and equipment, those sort of things. I'm not eating steak dinners and fine wine here. So this channel kind of needs to be self-supported, and I'd appreciate anything from patrons and listeners to help support the channel a little bit there. So thank you for your contributions and membership. And again, we'll get that email newsletter out and start getting more of a regular posting on that. Well, as of the 14th of November, we have a couple things in the news, and I probably won't even go into a news segment this week with the music. We're just going to move into this and move right along. On November 4th, 2023, awards W5LUA a 38-year quest to contact all 50 states on the 33-centimeter band ended when he received the first ever Worked All States certificate for the 902 to 928 megahertz. Ward started collecting states on the band shortly after it was opened in 1985. In 1985, the Federal Communications Commission allocated the frequency band between 902 and 928 megahertz to Part 18 of industrial, scientific, and medical ISM equipment. In that proceeding, the band was also allocated to the amateur radio service on a secondary basis, meaning amateurs could use the band if they accepted interference from and did not cause interference to primary users. Kind of cool that you're able to get that on a 33 centimeter band. I don't know a lot of people who've worked that, or I don't think I've ever been up in there myself, so definitely worth there. And a second news story, I'm providing a link in our show notes this week, and this is how to add your FCC amateur radio license badge to your LinkedIn profile. A link to the site, again, is provided in the show notes this week, something for you to go check out and do. It's amazing that how many careers and how many just sometimes famous people are literally ham operators, and you don't even really think about it, or what has ham radio done for you in your career, or to help you with your job that you do every day. So it sounds like a great tweet to me. Probably coming out with that one and getting that posted right after this episode. So something to think about there as well, to how to do that, and that's provided by QRZ. And the last story, this is most interesting, and considering that I just recently did a series in September on emergency communications and IMCOM. This is a most relevant story. In a recent incident on Interstate 81 in Virginia, an amateur radio operator's quick thinking and preparedness showcased the importance of alternative communication methods during the unexpected emergencies on the road. As southbound traffic came to a complete standstill, Michael Johnson, an avid amateur radio enthusiast, swiftly deployed his emergency communications setup. Using a modified Yaesu FT891, equipped with a mag mount antenna and tuned to the CB band, Johnson was able to monitor channel 19, 27.185 megahertz, and gain real-time information about the situation. I knew that truckers traveling in the opposite direction would have crucial information, said Johnson. Having a CB setup allowed me to tap into that network of communication and get updates on the incident. The emergency in this case involved a tractor-trailer catching fire, leading to a complete road closure. Johnson, having the capability to tune to the CB frequencies, learned that the driver managed to separate the truck from the trailer and pull away. Law enforcement had arrived, but the fire department and tow trucks were still on their way. While Johnson emphasized that traffic jam itself may constitute an emergency, he highlighted the value of the reliable communications during the unexpected events on the road, especially in winter and mountainous areas. Johnson's FT891, modified from Mars Military Auxiliary Radio System operation, allowed him to receive transmissions on CB frequencies, and despite the radio being capable of transmitting on a wide range of frequencies, Johnson did not transmit on the CB band during the incident, adhering to legal regulations. Upon returning home, Johnson tested the spectrum output of the FT891 when operated on the CB band, and he found the transmitter's output to be remarkably clean. This information is crucial as FCC regulations prohibit the use of amateur radio equipment on CB frequencies, except in emergencies. The incident highlights the importance of amateur radio operators being prepared for emergencies and having the ability to communicate beyond traditional cellular networks. Johnson's experience serves as a reminder that in critical situations, alternative communication methods can play a vital role in ensuring timely and accurate information reaches those affected. So, kind of a cool story that thinking outside the box, having a radio available, and having the capability of that radio to be able to reach outside its normal range to be able to communicate. So that's awesome. That was a really cool story. I thought I wanted to share with people. Maybe not everybody would have heard that, and so just thinking about your own operations, is that something you could or you might want to do on your own? So as we move from news back into the regular programming episode here, topic, we're going to talk about the background review of the well-known RST, also known as Readability, Strength, and Tone standard, introduced in 1934 by Arthur Brayton, W2BSR. While RST has served the global community well for nearly 9 decades, the author of this article believes that it's come time for a revision. So, readability, signal, and strength and tone, originally came out with its standard and its introduction in the October 1934 issue of the QST magazine. So I don't know if a lot of people know where that comes from, so I'll give a little bit of the background history. And, I'll go through what some of these are for RST and their interpretations. But the understanding the motivations behind Arthur Brayton's development of RST is really driven by the inadequacies of the existing signal reporting system that we use today. I think a lot of things have changed around this, and this article, this author believes to be the same. And we'll get to that in just a second here. So the success and limitations of RST is, first you got your readability, and that uses a scale of ranging from 1 to 5, 1 being unreadable to perfectly readable in graduated steps. Now, the readability scale was developed in 1925, but it was retained in the RST system. And so, it came up a little bit earlier than, the original. It was originally created in 1934, I said, but it was actually created about 9 years earlier. And of course, a signal may be unreadable for reasons besides reception. On the phone, it could be a heavy accent or CW, or it could be Morse code beginner. So our term is really more of a judgment than a measured quantity, but it's useful nevertheless. And we, give signals of 5-9 all the time. So, you're loud and clear. We can, understand people very clearly, but that's always, of course, very subject to interpretation. Signal strength uses a scale of 1 to 9, where 1 is faint and, the 9 is very strong. And the S number is usually a direct quantity measurement. But again, quite often it's a judgment call as well. So if the receiver on the other end is experiencing particular noise or reception, whether it's something in the neighborhood or just the band is noisy that day, the signal strength takes on a whole different interpretation compared to maybe a more quieter reception day or a different location that the person could be in. And so, that obviously plays a factor in this. So, there's, just judgment calls in that alone. Tone, it's a signal used to quantify a pure signal note. This is typically just used in CW. And during the 1930s, the power supply filter was often an equipment conundrum for many hams, causing issues with tone. So, again, tone could be subject to interpretation as well. And that's also rated on a range of 1 to 9. So, you could have, like a 599 or something like that as if you're doing like CW and that sort of thing. But again, we drop the tone during normal voice operations or phone operation, and we just go, you're a 4.4, you're a 5.3, you're a 5.9, that sort of thing. So, while, RST's been around for, nearly 90 years here, this author is saying that we should exchange this based on DBM, and I'll get to that in just a second here as well. So, a reporting system to grade the reception, which is readability, obviously, again, is familiar to us all, and it's a judgment call. It's always been a judgment call to perceive the quality of the reception. And the S term is just another judgment call as well, but it should really be established by instrument measurement. And some of us will probably use like 5.9 and look at our 5.3 and use the S meter on the radio to make that judgment, right? And that's what most of us would probably do. And that's, what the overwhelming majority of radio amateurs already do. Again, including myself, to make this, to give that signal report. So are we equipped to make this change? The author says we are. Traditionally, the S term is an S meter derived quantity, and also the S meter by itself does not report the whole received picture. Even with an S meter inconsistencies, it's still a good idea. The role of the noise in the report is equally important. Adjusting the S term to be a signal to noise ratio would be ideal. And he goes on to say, specifically, an S term report of the signal amplitude in the dB above the noise floor provides a more complete picture of the signal reception at that moment. So this is where he's starting to throw the dBm into the S side of the strength and giving you a quantifying number there. So, now that we are trending towards SDR receivers and with good PAN adapters, which I think most of the new equipment has those already built in, which provides the precise signal amplitude measurement as well as the signal to noise ratio. At a glance, the S meter then does this job well, and so we can really, start to make a more accurate strength measurement and give that other operator a better report. So, the present reporting system format, it's universally accepted, but it's safe to say that it's been, entrenched in all of us as up to the present day for over a century. Almost. Over 90 years. And so I think the challenge that we have with this is persuading hams to adopt a dB above a noise floor strength report is going to be, it's going to take some time. It's going to be a little while to get people to make that change, as again, we've ingrained in us, to make those judgment calls on the RST report as we have known for, for centuries. So, if folks can agree on these changes, and maybe it's something the ARRL will need to maybe push out, we can get a general acceptance, something to consider. Could this be a change on the horizon for how we give a signal report? It's very possible. What is it going to take to adopt this to get people to change over? It would be a very long process, I think. It's not something you're going to just change overnight. It's not like an FCC rule changing and that you now have, the availability to do whatever band changes they might have made. This is going to take a lot more time to adopt and to be able to get this ingrained in people and figure out. And then you get the, someone's still giving the old school way and you got the new school way. And so how does that really start to play out? So, listeners who like this recommended signal report method, can continue to report, signals with the expected RST system, but you can also include the new system immediately following the RST. Example, you could have a 589, and so the RS is just 5 by 12. Signal is peaking 12 decibels above the noise floor. For great, mini hams, that might like to spark a discussion and open up some conversation. So we're taking, again, the noise floor level and adding the signal to it. And so you're getting, your new signal report based off that. So again, this article will be referenced in the show notes for the week, but it's something to consider. Hopefully that makes sense to everyone. It is kind of a lot to swallow and take in, but give me your comments and thoughts, feedback on this. I'm curious to see what people are thinking. If this is something that people would be willing to change the way they give a signal report, or are we just going to stick with our good old ways that we've always done it? So, which I'm perfectly fine with. I'm good either way. It's whatever people want to adopt it and go forward with. But, I think if we're going to make that change, we've kind of got to go across the board, all or none. I don't think that would work, having, the two different types of reporting systems. So, as we, think about this and what the changes are, reflect on the history and ongoing relevance of the, readability, strength, and tone report standard that we've known for forever. I definitely want to invite all of you to join the conversation. Tell me what your experiences are with signal reporting, and do you think it's time for a revision? Connect with us on social media, share your thoughts, and stay tuned for more insights to the ever-evolving world of amateur radio and the news right here on this podcast. Reach out to me at W0MET at thehamradioguy.com email, and that will some of your comments, thoughts. Glad to provide some of those comments on the next podcast as well, and see where things prevail and what type of adoption this might take on in the future. So, looking for all things ham radio related, visit the Ham Radio Guy website at thehamradioguy.com for informative content, product reviews, and exciting blog posts. Join the conversation on your favorite podcast platform to stay up to date with the latest trends and news in the ham radio world. Connect with us on Twitter at the Ham Radio Guy, or for even more updates and engaging interaction. Don't miss out on the fun and knowledge sharing. Subscribe to the Ham Radio Guy today. Again, talking about that email. It is going to be coming out, getting the newsletter in the board, and getting up to date with you guys. So I'd like to get more content for you to be able to feed on. And I know there's a lot out there, but I want to find that you have value in this podcast and that you find it interesting, and want to keep you on board here. So again, thank you for being a subscriber. And if you're not and listening to this for the first time, go ahead and hit that subscribe button or follow, and listen to our past episodes as well. Well, coming up in the nearby area, we have a bunch of Hamfest coming around the corner. And November 18th and 19th, just this weekend here in Fort Wayne, Indiana, Fort Wayne Hamfest and Computer Expo hosting the ARRL Central Division Convention. December 8th and 9th, getting close to that Christmas time. Time to get those gifts, Got the Tampa Bay Hamfest in West Central Florida section convention as well during that time in Plant City, Florida. So maybe time to get your last-minute ham radio item at the Tampa Bay Hamfest. So just in time for Christmas. So what a way to go there. And January 6th, Ham Radio University hosting the ARRL New York City Long Island section convention in Burkeville, New York on January 6th. So right into the new year there. So it's all right around the corner. We'll be here before we know it. I heard just on the radio the other day there was like 43 days to 45 days to Christmas. Absolutely crazy. And it's probably a little less than that now by a couple days. So anyway, it won't be long, and we'll be right into that new year. So, and I'll be in a new location. So we'll see how that goes, and hope to, again, provide that great content for you, even out there in Massachusetts. Well, if you enjoyed the podcast, we'd appreciate it if you become a subscriber wherever you get your podcast. If you can rate and review the show, go out to Spotify or Apple Podcast, or just go old school and tell your friends and family, neighbors, hell, anybody you think might want to hear a podcast like this to listen in that might find this information informative. And if you're on social media, be follow us on Twitter and buymeacoffee.com. You can listen to the YouTube version as well on the W0MET channel, and hope that you learned something this week as this will help you in your ham radio operations. If you have questions or comments, again, leave them on Twitter podcast platform for me, or email me at W0MET@thehamradioguy.com. Well, as always, this is your ham radio buddy, in the chair and on the air, the Ham Radio Guy. I say 73, W0MET.